Thinking of packing up the car or the moving truck and heading on out to Phoenix, Arizona, but you need to know what it's going to be like before you get there, or what it's going to be like when you actually live here full time. This is the video for you because we're discussing the most updated information of all the pros and the cons of living in Phoenix, Arizona. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. But if you don't mind, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash it if you want, and like us to get us out to more people who could maybe use this useful information. We are passionate about Phoenix, Arizona. Our YouTube channel name says it all, everything Phoenix, guys. We're going to dive into that right now and discuss the pros and cons of everything Phoenix, Arizona. So here we go, guys. Now, I did a video on the 7 pros of living in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as the 7 cons of living in Arizona 2 years ago. And it was a very detailed video. In fact, I've included it right up here so that you can click on it and go back to look at that one if you would like. In fact, I am wearing the same shirt as I am 2 years ago in honor of that video. So I'm going to review those 7 pros really quick, and then I'm going to actually add 2 more pros. And no, to be fair, I'll do the same for the cons as well, because you have to be balanced when you're talking about the places you are going to live, because every place has cons as well as the pros. So the list on the pros for the previous video were these 7 in order: a forward-thinking economy, entertainment, outdoor activities, real estate, traffic, healthcare system, and weather. So let's hit all of these really fast, because again, you can go in depth on all of these on the previous video if you want to watch that. But the forward-thinking economy is legitimate. That is alive now more than it was in 2021. Why? Because there's so many different companies coming to the Phoenix area. In fact, the Greater Phoenix Economic Council has over 240 companies right now signed up with some sort of application in, thinking of moving part of their company or their headquarters to the Phoenix area. So that is a forward-thinking economy, because most companies want to be part of something that is doing just that, and where population is flocking to, and that is Phoenix, Arizona. On the entertainment side, it's getting even better because we have more and more things happening on that side. You have all the professional sports and all the things we talked about in the previous video, but you also have newer things like the VAI Resort out in Glendale, the Mattel, that's right, the same manufacturer or the company that makes Barbies. They're having their own theme adventure park as well. Roller coasters, indoor, most of it, the whole 9 yards. One of a kind, that's going here in the Phoenix area as well. And then you have several surf parks. That's right, instead of going to California or down to Mexico to surf, you don't have to worry about that anymore, and you can stay right here in Phoenix and have surfing in the desert. I mean, who would have thought? But you have multiple surf parks being built right now as we speak here in Phoenix, and they are legitimate too. So that is alive now more than ever within the entertainment space. So on the outdoor activity side, there are a ton of things to do because Phoenix is still, well, Phoenix, and there's just a lot to do outside. So check those out on the previous video. We won't go and spend too much time on that moving forward. The next one is real estate. That's right, guys. Now, real estate does change. In fact, it changes almost on a daily, weekly basis in some neighborhoods across Phoenix. But what has happened over the past 2 years? Well, primarily, prices have gone up and gone up a lot. So it's great if you're a homeowner, not so great if you're looking to move here from a different state, and as you will be paying a higher price than you were or would have in 2021. Also on the rental side, rental rates have continued to do the same thing. They also went up. So that's not good either if you're looking to move here and rent temporarily. So to give you a quick little, just super surface level illustration, based on the average price point of a home with an average interest rate of 7% on a 30-year fixed, you're gonna be looking at around a payment of, call it $2,700 a month for that average home here in the Phoenix area. Conversely, on the rental side, where rental rates currently stand for that same exact home, you could probably rent that right now for about $2,350 a month. So you'd be saving several $100s a month on the very surface level if you were to rent versus buy in terms of where it stands today in 2023. But that's not even diving into all the different benefits you get when you have home ownership, from the tax write-offs, mortgage interest deductions, and the appreciation, the buy down of the equity over time, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more that comes with it if you are a home owner, even though right now, where it currently stands, you'd be paying a little bit more on the monthly basis. The next pro is traffic, guys. Traffic patterns, they have not changed. The amount of traffic hasn't changed a lot, although it has gone up a little bit. But again, you primarily notice it in the winter season. Why? Because of all the snowbirds that come down here from the northern states and Canada. There are a lot of those, and that creates a little bit of a traffic jam, unfortunately, and those drivers aren't the best drivers either, let's just be honest. So that's one benefit of driving around here in the summertime, even though it's blazing hot for a few months, the traffic is a little bit better. But overall, traffic, why it's a pro is because we don't have the major big city problems when it comes to traffic, even during rush hour here in Phoenix. The next one is the healthcare system, guys. We have some amazing healthcare hospital operators such as Banner Health, Honor Health, and the big one everybody knows, Mayo. That's right, guys. Mayo has one of their campuses right here in the Scottsdale area, the Phoenix area, and that is one of 3 major cities they operate within. And Phoenix, yep, we're one of them. And the last one being weather, guys. Now, weather is huge here because it's so good. It's phenomenal, guys. Now, we do have those 3.5 months where it is pretty hot. But outside of that, you have the season of awesomeness. Oh my God. Wow. That's right, guys. I talk about it all the time. There are 2 seasons in Phoenix, not 4. And you have hot and you have pure awesomeness. That's it. So weather overall in Phoenix is just outstanding and people absolutely love it. Okay, now let's get to the 2 new pros I came up with for Phoenix, Arizona. Number 1 is location. Guys, Phoenix is well located. Not just within the state of Arizona where, by the way, you can go up just 2 hours north and change the weather, potentially 20 to 40 to 50 degrees from where it is in Phoenix. That's right. In the wintertime, when it's beautiful here, if you want to ski, 2 hours up to Snowbirds and Flagstaff and you have really good skiing. Now, it's not top line skiing like you would get in maybe the Rocky Mountains, but it's pretty darn close. So that is amazing. And if it's the summertime here and it's 110 degrees, you can go to Flag and it may be a high of 80 that day. So it is awesome, a great mountain town. And there's others as well, Payson, Prescott, Show Low, just to name a few. So located very well within the state, right in the center for the most part. And then it's also located very well in terms of the southwest part of the United States. That's right, guys, you're only about a 6-hour drive from LA and San Diego, and you are only 4 hours from Rocky Point, where you can hit the beach. And the guys at the beach at Rocky Point is really nice water. Truly, truly is. I had a chance to finally go there here recently, and it is awesome. And of course, it's cheaper down there too. And last but not least, you're only about 4 to 5 hours in terms of a drive to Las Vegas. Now, the weather's gonna be the same pretty much in Las Vegas for the most part, a little cooler than Phoenix, but it's Vegas, baby. And what happens in Vegas, it stays in Vegas.
Hello. How about that ride in? I guess that's why they call it Sin City.
And the second new bonus pro is food. That's right, guys. The food scene in Phoenix is severely underrated. Now, typically when people think of big cities in the United States for the food scene, you're gonna think of Chicago, San Francisco, New York City, places like that. But I'm telling you right now, guys, Phoenix, the food scene has come up dramatically over the past decade or so since I've been here, and then some. You're talking the authentic Mexican food, which has always been a part of the fabric of Phoenix. There are so many mom and pop authentic Mexican restaurants throughout the central downtown Phoenix area, and even up to North Phoenix and the suburbs, there are some of those as well. And it's just really good Mexican food. Now, outside of that, there is a ton of other good food, and more types of different foods and famous restaurants continue to pour into Phoenix. So you have the Lumanaldi's from Chicago Pizzeria. You have Pizzeria Bianco, which is in the Phoenix area, and that's one of the most highly rated pizza places in the entire country. You have all these different types of concepts coming and pouring into the Phoenix area. Why? Because again, a lot of population's coming down here, and it's a very friendly corporate tax environment for these business operators and owners. So you have mom and pop restaurants, you have a lot of big operators like Fox Food Concepts, and it just is a really, really good scene. You are not shorted when it comes to authentic, really good cuisine when you come down to Phoenix. Okay, now that we cover the pros, we have to cover the cons. That's right, we have to give equal time for both of these because we want to inform you unbiasedly of what we feel is the bad and the good and the ugly here in Phoenix, Arizona. So let's jump into the 7 cons that we already reviewed in the previous video a couple years ago, and let's go through those things right now. The first one was valley fever. So again, a lot of details on the previous video, but valley fever is very prevalent in Phoenix. In fact, like 2/3 or so of all valley fever cases come from right here in the Valley of the Sun, the Phoenix, Arizona area. So it is a respiratory issue and it can be debilitating. So valley fever, you gotta be on the lookout for that. The main way to prevent that is primarily just don't have your face down close to the dirt when the dirt's being dug up and dust is coming out from under the dirt surface and you're breathing that in. That's the number one way to get it, but there are other ways too. So valley fever, be on the lookout for that. The next thing are creepy, crawly critters, the 3 C's, that's right. So there are a lot of those, from snakes to scorpions to termites and all kinds of fun stuff here in the desert. So we have some unique critters that you just need to be aware of because you want to know how to prevent possibly running into them, right? Because let's face it, you don't want to run into a scorpion. It's just not fun. It's really annoying, and it's best to keep them out of your house. So there are definitely ways to do that, and we want to make sure you are fully informed on that. So the main thing, it just comes down to pest control. Be sure to have pest control routine, monthly or every other month pest control at your house. Have it sealed at the bottom by the stem wall, and most of those issues will go away. So again, scorpions, they're kind of indestructible, but their main food source are crickets. So when you hear that chirping at night, if you do, call your pest guy right away and get them out there, because the food source is gone, usually they're gone too. So there's just a lot of common sense things to do. The main thing to prevent it, simply have pest control. The next thing is dust. There is a lot of dust in Phoenix. Why? Because we're in the desert. And so we have these monsoon seasons where we have these big things come in called haboobs and all kinds of crazy stuff. You should Google that. They are crazy. They can be crazy. But again, we have dust in multiple different times of the year because we're in the desert. We just have more of it in the summertime. So it's just part of living in the desert. But again, it does not outweigh all the other benefits you get when you are here enjoying this amazing weather that the desert provides. School systems, that's the next one, guys. School systems we covered as a con. Why? Because it's not a secret. You can Google public school systems in the state of Arizona, and it's going to come up typically in the bottom 5 for all states in America. We can't get around that. But I will say this, guys, it's very niche. The reason why, for the most part, the school systems get a bad rap is because there are some very poor areas within the state of Arizona. Now, if you talk about specifically within Phoenix, of course, Phoenix, like any major city, has poor areas and more affluent areas. So if you are in certain areas, you may have a better school district that actually is pretty highly rated. But overall, in the state of Arizona, we do come in on the bottom of the scale. So that is a con if you have kids and you're in a certain part of the valley that may not have a great district. The next thing is public transportation. We don't have much of it. We have city buses that go to most of the cities, not even all of them. And then we have a light rail system that is cool, but again, because Phoenix is so spread out, it only hits a small fraction of the entire greater Phoenix area metro. So you're talking areas of Tempe, downtown Phoenix, up the Central Corridor and uptown Phoenix, and out to Mesa, but that's primarily it. So outside of that, you have to take a bus, and it's just not a great centralized city for public transportation. It's very spread out. So that creates challenges when it comes to public transportation. The next thing is snowbirds, guys. Snowbirds, and we're not talking about birds that fly in snow. We're talking about people who don't live full-time in Arizona or Phoenix, and they come down from their cooler spot in the winter to enjoy the nice, amazing season of awesomeness in Arizona when it's super nice. And they love to be here because why wouldn't you if you have the ability to do both? So they come down here, they make the restaurants a little busier, they make the roads a little more packed, and just there's those challenges with that. But again, I can't really blame them because if I could do it, I would too. And the last con is the summertime. That's right, guys. We have 2 seasons, like I said, awesomeness and the summertime. Summertime, wah wah. But the cool thing is, in summertime, it is hot, but you can escape just by driving 2 hours or even shorter, depending where you're at in the valley, up to Flagstaff or the Northern Rim and get a much, much better temperature. We're talking 20 to 30, sometimes even more degrees in terms of a swing in cooler temperatures as opposed to whatever it is currently at that time in Phoenix. So that is very nice. And then outside of that, it's just hot and you have to deal with it. And the good news is blood thins out over time and you wear the sunscreen, you keep hydrated, and it's okay. I have a lot of people who say they would much more put up with very, very hot temperatures in the summertime for the rest of the year of being in Phoenix as opposed to being in the wintertime in Minnesota or Wisconsin or North Dakota or someplace like that. So it's each their own, but again, the summertime's a con because it's just hot. Okay, the last 2 cons I came up with for this video is the sharp desert plant life. That's right, guys. Plant life in the desert is different. It is completely different than other parts of the country. In fact, most other parts of the country, they don't have this type of plant life. A lot of it, actually, believe it or not, is green and it is beautiful looking. But you do have a lot of it that is a little sharp or prickly. That's right, cacti and other parts of the desert landscaping and plants, they can be a little sharp. And so if you're mountain biking or you're running or you're not paying attention to what you're doing and you happen to brush up against, like a jumping cholla or any other type of desert plant life, it could have some prickly and it could cut you. So even some of the trees. So it's not, I don't really like it. But again, they are pretty and they sustain with very little water very well. So that's good too. But that is a con, or can be, living in the desert. And the second con, last but not least, is green pools. That's right. Now, if you don't have a pool, you don't have to worry about it. But, I had to stretch here for a con because there's frankly more pros than cons, in my opinion, living in Phoenix, Arizona. But a green pool is a con, and it's easy to do. Trust me. I know. In fact, I had 2 of them this summer. Yeah, I know. And it can be very expensive when you do that. So you have to stay up on your pool. Otherwise, if you get behind, it is hard to catch up with it because it's so hot every day and you are just fighting an uphill battle that sometimes cannot be won. But you need to do these 3 things, and in this order: circulation of the water, filtration of the water, and then of course the chemicals. Very important. And of course you have to brush and backwash and that sort of thing. Or you can simply call up a pool service and they can do it for you. They come out weekly and they will do chemicals and all that maintenance for your pool. Make sure it doesn't go green, and it's going to cost you in the ballpark of probably around $100 to $120 a month. So somewhere in there, depending on, of course, who you hire and your location of your house. So that is a thing to be aware of, because if it goes green, it can be very expensive to turn it back and time intensive to turn it back to make it all clear to be able to swim in it again. And trust me, in the Phoenix summertime, you want your pool to swim in. Okay guys, that concludes our video of the most updated information for 2023 for the best pros and cons of living in the Phoenix area. If you never want to miss another video again, please subscribe right here. We would truly appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos like the one from 2021 for pros and cons and all the other hundreds of videos we have on this channel, please go ahead and click our playlist right here. Thank you so much, guys, and don't forget to call 480-660-5974. We would love to have a conversation with you. We've helped multiple people out over the years and years of selling real estate, 18 in fact, that have come down from out of state or looking to move up, move down, already living here in Phoenix. We'd love to be your real estate agent of choice. Thank you so much, and check us out on Instagram at Kelly Cook Homes. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget.